to mock you.
Yes.
A group of fans for this team at some division.
And one kid in the stands decided to pull his pants down and gesture. He didn't expose himself, but his underwear was on. And he gestured back at them. And the cops promptly showed up and made him do the walk of shame out of the stadium. And I had just, honestly, I just gone up to this kid because I see him at every game. And I just complimented him on the fact that his heckles are funny, but he never goes too far. And he says, "You're right, I do. I never go too..." And then he proceeds 3 minutes later to do this. And I had told my wife, she said, "What did you just say to him?" And then when he did that, I said, "I swear I didn't tell him to do that."
You said you haven't gone far enough, is what you said.
Yeah.
That's what he probably thought I said.
That's what he said.
He's telling the cop, the comedian told me it's not me.
None of us saw it. And I said, "What did he say that was so bad that the cops came over and said, he didn't say anything. This is what he did." And I was like, oh, jeez.
And this was somebody from your school?
The son's classmate,
Your son's classmate. So you went up to your son's roommate and you said, "Here's what you got to do. You're not going far enough. Your heckles are good, but no one's paying attention to you.
No clothing's coming off."
Yeah, you gotta.
This would be a good time for you to drop your pants.
Yeah,
right about now. Dave, I like how you drilled down.
Yeah.
You drilled down with Paul there to determine why he was so angry at another player. You drilled right down to find out his son's team was losing.
Exactly. It was a missing part.
It didn't take long to get there.
It was a missing part of the story. Is like how bad it was. One of the keys that I find with all of Paul's best stories is that his team winds up taking a beating at the end or in the middle.
My little heckle was like a small Pyrrhic victory in a day of huge losses.
I'm sure they'll put an asterisk in the standings next to your son's team.
Just remember, the quiet fan is the winning fan. Remember that, Dave?
I'll keep that. One of the funniest things I've seen in sports was this was hockey. Harvard Bright Arena, which is a bowl. It's a bowl, and they have one little sliver for the opposing team's followers, the parents, and all that. And they're beating Michigan State in a really tight, really great game. And Michigan State late in the game scores a goal. They hadn't scored a goal. They scored a goal, made it 2-1. 2-0, 3-1. I mean, it was 2-1, 3-1. I don't know what the score is, but it was close enough that. Anyway, they scored, and they cheered. You saw this little sliver of the crowd cheered, and then everybody else in the stadium pointed at him and said, "State school, state school, state school," which I guess is pretty common when those Ivy League publics play each other, but pretty funny too. So,
and no one pulled their pants down from Harvard?
No.
So I hope if that kid's listening, it's doable. You don't have to go there.
No, I think that's the important thing to remember is no matter what school, no matter what GPA, no matter what you hope to do in the future.
Can I tell you something?
You're in college, that's the time to pull down your pants in public.
I was at one of Dave's comedy shows the other day, and there was a time he probably should have taken his pants down in front of that crowd. It always comes down to the same thing with you. It always comes down to the same thing. Pulling your pants down? Making yourself big. You'll have to cut that one out too. Yes, you'll have to cut that. Look, Dale is like, I don't think it's that funny, and I've got to get rid of it. I hate all right, we're going to move on to our next question. The MLS playoffs begin 13 days. This is the regular season ended for us. It ended Sunday, and it's the playoffs start the 20th, which is 13 days from when it ended. Every other sport starts their playoffs right away after the regular season. So that's weird. So my question is, first of all, and I know you had said that this benefits the Revolution. Explain to us how it benefits the Revs and what does this do for the momentum of the sport? You know, we're supposed to believe this is a real league, the MLS. Soccer fans just accept this as one of the things that happens, right? It's like extra time or offsides. Makes no sense.
It is. It's unfortunate the international break is coming right now. The advantage for them, for the Revs, is that one guy has a broken bone in his foot, so he'll get time to heal. But like you just said, it's almost like you have a bye, but the whole league is getting a bye.
Yeah.
They're all getting, the Revs will have a couple extra days off. I think that everyone will play on the 20th, and the Revs will play the winner on the 23rd or 25th. But that's a huge layoff. That's going to affect every team, and it's going to come down to like how well the coaches can keep their team's momentum going into it with all that layoff.
How about fan interest? Does fan interest build like the 2 weeks before the Super Bowl?
I mean, I can't speak for everyone. I'm still going to watch, and I'm excited. But yeah, it probably doesn't help because they'll go all wander off. People's brains are spaced, right? And they'll be watching something else and completely forget that it's happening. It could happen.
And you brought up a good analogy. You just said the Super Bowl's 2 weeks.
Yeah, but people are sick of it after 7 days or 10 days.
No, what I'm saying is like you have your momentum, right? You get your wild card in the NFL, and you win your 3 games to get to the Super Bowl. You're on fire. You're on a roll.
Right, but it does
2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's the same. I think it's analogous.
But this is the start of the playoffs versus the end of the playoffs. The Super Bowl layoff, and I understand the reason the Super Bowl layoff is it's all about hype. It is about nonsense, but it's also about accommodations. People are trying to get the tickets to the game. Press is trying to get people at the game. There are all those things that are better done for 2 weeks than for 1 week. Obviously, the NFL originally did it because of the 2 week layoff. They felt would be good. It'd be good, more chance to hype up the league. This is back in the Pete Rozelle era. The start of the playoffs, it's odd, and it's also here in the Northeast. Of course, we think of it in terms of the weather.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. The Revs could end up hosting the final.
The Revs will host the final?
They could.
Yeah.
If they win out.
Which will be a perfect way to spend your Christmas Eve.
I know. But, a lot of these college games, you'll see Division I game where teams playing in the snow or the icy field and late in November. I mean, you can play on it. It's not the best soccer, but...
That's one of the other things, and I actually like this about soccer, is the fact that we think of it as a warm weather sport, or maybe we think of it as a early fall sport because that's when it's fun to watch and you don't feel like you're freezing to death. But yeah, they play in all kinds of weather. Yeah. It's I think it makes it fascinating because you get the fast track at the end of the season if the ground is cold. It hurts like the dickens if you fall on the frozen ground.
Yeah. And
you might deal with other elements like severe icy winds, for example.
And the ball's deflating.
What do you mean? Oh, in the cold, yeah. I mean, you also got to be concerned if you're a team like the Revs, your goalie's going to go to this international break, to Steffens. He could get hurt.
Right.
Some teams are sending, we just sent, I think, one guy during break.
Yeah, maybe a couple. Sent 4 guys. There was one team that sent 4.
Seattle, right?
Seattle. Yeah, they sent 4 guys.
Yeah, I mean, someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Which could affect the whole balance. So the Revs are going to play the winner of NYC and Atlanta.
Yeah.
Which are 2 teams they've beaten twice each this year.
Yeah.
But NYC, who's favored to win, they beat the Revs at Gillette. So they're not going to be afraid if they have to go in there. They've already beaten them there. It's
going to be interesting. There's so many things that can go wrong with a long break. You can get players who are kind of suddenly they become out of sorts, or they can get better. They can get healthier. So
I think this 2 weeks helps the Revolution hands down, though.
Because of the injuries.
Because now they celebrated after a loss. They celebrated their most points ever after they lost. Dave, you like that? They celebrated like they won the.
What are they? The Red Sox?
Yeah, exactly. And now it gives them 2 weeks to focus, get healthy, and get their legs back. I think that's the key phrase right there: is to get their legs back.
Yeah.
2 weeks. You had a hard regular season. Now it means something. So I think it helps the Revs.
All right, let's get to our final topic. The high school tournament season started, and for the high schools, it started this week in Massachusetts. And my buddy Dave Kroll will be in it with St. John's Prep. And since Jim Ruberti won't be here next week, there's a possibility that I'm going to get my friend Dave Kroll, the St. John's Prep coach, to fill in if the Prep is eliminated. And I asked him about it, and he says that he hopes that he won't be available. And I said, because you want to win. And he said, you can believe anything you want.
They did win their first game, I noticed.
Yeah. And
they did advance.
Right. And now they've got Hingham.
Oh, they do? Hingham's really good.
Yeah.
I don't think they've lost all year, right?
What's that?
I think they're undefeated.
Hingham's been good. Yeah, they're top seed. So, but here's my point. Hopefully he won't be here. It'll be just you and me, and we'll bring in Dale to talk about head injuries. But here's the question. Does the tournament mean anything to a kid's chances in college? or has that been determined already? I mean, what's the value to is there a value to the kids in terms of getting that second look against good competition after the season's ended?
I think most of them have been already sort of selected, or at least they're being honed in on. But you could have a kid who maybe was hurt all year and nobody knows him, and maybe one coach is lucky enough to go to his game and see him and go, oh, this kid's falling through the cracks, and you could grab someone like that.
On a personal note, we were 16th in the state. Going into the tournament, 9-6-1. Our team, Barnstable High School.
The team that did you play for them, or did you?
I was the goalie for Barnstable High School. Dave, stay with me.
I thought maybe somehow you were involved them. Like maybe you were sitting in the sand.
He's still studying that line that you drew 20 minutes ago.
Nobody knew about me. Nobody knew about Barnstable at 9-6-1. We made it to the tournament, and we played Madison Park first game of the season. First, they were 26-0, and we knock them off 1-0. All of a sudden, I get a letter. Next one, actually, I'm sorry, I was wrong. The first game we played was 4-2 over 2 days. Took 2 days to play.
Nobody cares about that.
It does. They do.
We don't care about that one.
They do because it made the paper.
Okay, it made the paper.
Made the paper because it went 2 days. Then we played Madison Park, and then we're playing Zavarian in the semifinals of the States.
Yep.
And that made the paper. Before that, I was just a get big keeper.
Holding your line.
Holding my line.
Holding the line.
And then I started getting I started getting letters from coaches that they were interested. Not that they were offering me scholarships.
Because you were a late bloomer.
But I was a late bloomer. That's exactly right, Dave. So this could be big for a lot of the late bloomers. It could be big for their resume to send a letter to their coach that they're interested. That, look, I played on this team that's in the state tournament. That will get that coach's in college attention.
Right.
To say, well, why don't you come and try out?
Because the thing about being in the tournament, am I correct to say this, is if you go far in the tournament, if you get eliminated early, you get eliminated early. But if you go far, that means that you've played successive games or a succession of games against really top talent, which you might not get in your league. Is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
You also get scouts, though, right? A lot of these colleges down here don't have hundreds of scouts that go around the country to scout these colleges, scout kids.
Right.
They're going to go to the semifinals and the finals of the high school, or even the quarterfinals. Yeah. That's where they're going to start recognizing players. So, I think it matters, to quote Donald Trump, bigly to get into the tournament and move like that, because you are going to get more attention.
You can have most of them obviously play club, and that's where you find you might, like I said, you've already selected many of them. But there's a lot of good players that don't play club. You can't afford it, and then they only play high school, but they're good enough to play a D3 or a D2. So
but might as well go to club. They're playing other sports. Which to me, if I'm a coach, I want a kid playing all sports, not just year-round soccer. I want to see what he's doing in baseball and the other off-season. You really want to do. That's why a lot of them are playing club that are very good. Yeah. Soccer might be their second or third interest too, and they could be a phenomenal soccer player.
Right.
So that's why you want to scout these tournaments.
Well, the other thing, too, is somebody might love playing hockey, but be a better soccer player. He might not be or she might not be a college hockey player, but he might be a college soccer player, lacrosse player, track athlete, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let me, what about teams? Some teams, and I noticed this, teams succeed based on how strong the feeder program is. If there's a good youth program in the town, there's probably going to be a pretty good high school team. You see that a lot. What about other issues? Community income? And then there are some teams that seem to do very well in the tournament. Here's my question to you guys. What determines success in the tournament for a team? Is there anything about the community? Is there anything about the school? Or is it just those 17 to 20 athletes on the team?
I think the youth soccer program is obviously important, just to get the fundamentals going at an early age. And then you want to have, hopefully, local clubs in the area that they also play on. So if you live in Needham, you could play on NEFC Stars or GPS. Well, GPS is gone, as we know. I'm having Steve Griffin on. But access to those clubs, so they're getting, because you can't touch them when you're a high school coach. You're not going to see these kids till they're 15. So you hope when they arrive, they've been coached and they've played a lot and they love the game, and then you just do the rest. You obviously need a good coach, which Needham's always had a good coach, and St. John's Prep, and I'm sure Hingham has a good coach.
If you look at these Catholic schools, they're pulling out of the Needhams, the Hinghams, the Situates, the ones that have great feeder programs.
Great feeder programs, and the parents can afford the tuition?
Well, Yeah, well, that's obviously part of it, right?
Yeah.
That they have the ability to go to that school and